Welcome to the Fill Your Cups podcast. We're your hosts,
Morgan
and Bailey.
Well, today, as fall approaches, look, you're in your orange sweater already and everything.
I planned it out.
Yes, I'm really feeling the beginning of fall with like football season starting. There are some leaves falling.
Yes.
And just lots of, school is back in full swing. And
It's a little cooler in the mornings.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like people are kind of dwindling down on like vacation season and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we are starting to spend more of our everyday lives, I feel like, back inside.
Yeah.
Back in our homes, back in our regular, usual spaces. I feel like in the summer you do a lot of things outside of the home and whatnot. And so and so today we kind of wanted to talk about our regular spaces that we are inside of all the time and how we can declutter them and just take a moment to evaluate our surroundings, evaluate what is helping, what's hindering, and kind of make adjustments as we need to. So not only are we talking about the physical decluttering, which I think is such a freeing thing.
I love it.
But also there are some things that we can evaluate and adjust when it comes to decluttering our schedules or decluttering emotionally, mentally, relationally, and
our digital lives.
Digitally, seriously. I feel like it feels so good whenever you get rid of some of the clutter in your phone.
Yeah.
And phone and computers and all that. So
yes.
So that's what we'll be talking about today. We're excited for this conversation. We're going to be doing a little bit more of a how-to steps or things that work for us really well when we're decluttering these different spaces in our lives.
Yeah, just some ideas.
Yeah.
Before we get into the juice of the episode, though, what is filling your cup, Morgan?
You know, Bailey, I felt like this was going to be so lame because I'm not going to be able to have something very fun in a lot of our episodes in the future because I just got, I don't know if you noticed, I just got these clear aligners.
Yes, I love them.
Yeah, they're like Invisalign, but they're called Spark aligners.
Wow, I can't believe you're talking so easily.
I told Jared I thought I would have a list, but I didn't have, I just got them yesterday.
Wow.
So yeah, already a stupid little thing broke off on one side, so I can't have my rubber bands in, but you'll notice them more probably with the rubber bands. I don't know.
Okay.
But
cool.
Anyway, so I literally just have water because you can't drink like anything else. Even clear like Zevias or things like that, you can't drink while you have it, and you have to wear them 22 hours a day.
That's crazy. I remember whenever I got my braces off with the retainers, that's how it is. Like, you can't eat or drink with anything in. Oh. And I realized I eat and drink constantly. All the time. So that's why I stopped wearing my retainers. And that's why my teeth went back to where they were. Very sorry, Mom and Dad. But that's really, really exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I didn't have braces when we were kids, you know that. But
that's why you have these now.
Yes. But yeah, so they have to be worn 22 hours a day. So only 2 hours can I be like eating or drinking if I stick to it. They won't be as efficient, and I won't get them off as early if I don't stick to it.
Yeah,
so
I think you'll stick to it.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
I love that. That's so exciting. Well, I'm right there with you with the boring today. I'm just drinking my water, but it's because, so guys, right now when we're recording, it's Friday at like what, 4:30? Or it's like almost 5.
Woohoo.
So I got off of work at 3, and Mason and I were immediately skipped the gym. We were like, we don't want to go to the gym today, so we went thrift shopping.
Fun.
My favorite. And thrift shopping is a huge thing that makes me feel like it's fall too.
Yeah.
But anyway, with that being said, I had a venti coffee.
Oh.
So now I just need some water to bring me back down.
You're probably hyped, man.
I feel like I am hyped, but at the same time, I feel like if I close my eyes, I could instantly fall asleep. So I'm like, riding the line or towing the line.
I love it.
Yes. So we're just boring together today.
Well, I know that we always want to do a shout out, and this week we have such a fun one.
We do.
I am going to look at my phone real quick just to read this. It was a listener review, so if you're on Apple Podcasts listening to this, please go leave a rating and review right now. Review especially.
Help a sister out.
Yeah, seriously. And I didn't realize it until much later than this person posted the review.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think that they posted it at the end of June. Yeah. I didn't see it until
we
just
don't get
now.
Notifications for reviews.
Yeah.
So we always, we have to go in and look.
Yeah. So now I'm going to be checking. I'm going to be checking a lot more regularly because I know you all are going to go leave a review after this. Absolutely. And you're going to want us to shout it out. So the review was 5 stars, and it said, "It's been refreshing to listen to you both discuss topics that not all of us are comfortable talking about. as well as seeing how much you both have grown into adults and are sifting through all the things life throws our way as we get older. I look forward to listening to future episodes and watching you two blossom into podcast world. This was from Apple Podcast user Paige Cauldron, who is also known as Paige Calderon.
Yes.
Who was our neighbor growing up and one of our sister's like bestest friends. Yes. So she's just a couple years older than us, and we hung out with her all the time growing up. Yeah. So that was a really sweet review.
Thank you so much, Paige, for the review. I thought it was really cool how she mentioned in the review that it's refreshing. She said it's refreshing to hear you talk about topics that get harder, talk about as you become adults or whatever. And I just think that's so cool that we have all grown up together and now we're all on, I don't know, adult paths of lives that, I don't know. I just think it's cool that sometimes you can feel alone in all of these things and then we talk about it and it's like everyone says, seriously, this is so helpful. I have the same things and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. I just love to see those kind of reviews come through. I think it's really cool and just very validating.
I agree. I love that. I think it's so fun. So, do we want to go ahead and dive right in?
Let's dive right in. Let's get it. I am just super excited for this episode. As we said, it is fall outside, guys. It's finally freaking fall. It's here. It might not be the first official day of fall, but I have decided it is fall. And so, we are going to just be talking about decluttering our spaces and our minds and kind of I don't know, not starting fresh, but just freshening up. A little bit. Yeah. I think you were the one who kind of thought of this idea for the episode. So give us a little insight. So what made you think of it?
Yeah. I was just telling you a little bit before we started recording that unfortunately, I feel like Jared and I have had a lot of instances in the last few years. And even in our family, John didn't have a ton of items or things necessarily, but just people who are older or who are not able anymore to take care of their belongings in their houses and just kind of going through lots of houses and maybe not us as much as our parents are doing, going through grandparents and people's homes and just finding out that there's just so much stuff. Yeah. And it is honestly, not to make anybody feel bad, but it can be a burden on the kids' shoulders. And so it's just something that it's been dawning on me more and more that I'm just I just don't want to be hanging on to things for so long that have no real relevance in my life, don't help me in every day, that sort of thing, especially the physical part of that. But then also, we hear all the time about how anxiety is rising and things like that. And I feel like things in our surroundings, whether that's on our phone or in our physical space or in our relationships or whatever it is, any of that clutter, any of that excess, can just really stress us and weigh us down and just really make us bogged down.
I think people don't realize how much space does affect you. Even subconsciously, if you're not even thinking about it, you might be sitting on your couch in your living room and you have a pile of things to do in the corner. You're just not going to feel as well rested or as relaxed because somewhere in the back of your head, it's thinking about all these clutter. And I just don't think that people realize how much stress and overload your brain's constantly doing when your space is constantly in need of a decluttering.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that this is something that you're really good at, so I was excited to do an episode with you because, honestly, even right now, I can look in my room and see that there's a couple things that I could tidy up, but I just mean I was excited to kind of bring it to the forefront of my mind because now that we aren't traveling for the rest of the year, I think. But we're
probably throw one more trip in.
Right, yeah. But we're just close to home a lot more, and we aren't going to be, wanting to go outside or go to the pool or whatever as much. And so it's just and quite honestly, I love football season because sometimes we get to host people here. Yes! And I just want to feel good opening our home to people and not feel oh God, I have to get rid of stuff all the time.
And you have to clean everything. And
because I just want to be in the state of not being cluttered. Yeah. And so all of that to say, I think it just impacts your daily life and not just the physical space. That's obviously the most tangible one, but also all of those other things that you surround yourself with.
Yeah, absolutely. I like you bringing up fall because I feel the same way. There's something about fall. I think it's the thing of like, you want to light a candle and you want to open your windows. And you can't do that with a chaotic space, I feel like. Yeah. I feel like whenever I do those things, it's always right after I deep clean my house or something. But there's just something about it this year. I'm just going into fall so excited. Like I feel more excited than I have ever, and I love going in fall. I always love it. Yeah. But there's just something about this fall that I'm like, no, I want things to be crisp. I want the windows to be open and feel the breeze run through my house freely. And that's how I want my mind to feel with this fall. Yes. So I love it. I also heard on TikTok today, so who knows how reliable this is, but I heard that September is globally the most productive month of the year.
No way.
Yeah, they says that September is the most productive month of the year because we are accustomed to having our brains like back to school almost.
Interesting.
So you just kind of do a flip where you're a little bit more likely to want to get up and to do some more things that you haven't before. So again,
it almost feels
TikTok,
like it almost feels like after you said that, because I was like, it's almost like September is the January of the second year type of the year, but the weather's still good. So you're probably more likely to follow through on things than you would in January.
Yeah.
Because you're not still in like sad.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you still have sunlight, which is perfect. And it feels good outside, so you want to go out there. And I love it. I don't know. I love it. So I feel like this is a perfect we've been talking about why this episode is going to be so good for like 15 minutes now. But guys, it's perfect because we're going to talk about how you can do all of this while going into the fall. So let's freaking start it off.
Yeah. Do you want to go into some of the things that you do to physically unclutter? Because I think physical spaces is kind of the most tangible, and then we can go into some of those more nuanced ones.
Yeah. Physical decluttering. I think I'm a queen at this. Yeah. Because my biggest one is I go through my clothes constantly. I am always going through my closet. I'm always adjusting as needed. And I shop a lot, but it's always like secondhand. So I never feel too bad about getting rid of other clothes or anything like that. But I am just like, if I did not like how this shirt fit me one day because it was way too small, I'm getting rid of it. Yeah. Like, I don't keep it. And same with my pants. Or if I'm like, okay, I've had these pair of pants for a while. I've never worn them. And every time I try to grab for them, I'm like, I don't want to wear these today. I'm getting rid of it. So I think closet declutter is a huge thing for me. And then, as my sister, I always give the clothes to my sisters. And I say, what do you guys want? Anything you don't want, take it to the thrift store.
Yeah,
so that's a huge one for me.
You're really good at that. I think with clothes specifically, we do hang on to things for way too long.
Yeah.
And something... I have like a couple rules, See, I feel like you're such a you go off vibes person, and I'm like I stick to my rules person.
Yes.
And so for you, you're just like, the vibe is not good with this shirt, it's gone.
I'm like, it fit me weird.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, if it's been a year and I haven't worn this, it's gone.
Yeah.
Or if what was I going to say? Oh, we were talking about how you went thrifting today. Like, if I went to the thrift store and I got 3 items, I would need to get rid of 3 items when I go home.
Oh, I like that strategy.
They need to trade out. Every time I get a new item, I have to be comfortable with getting rid of something
It's like the one in, one out kind of thing.
Exactly.
I've heard people talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. So those are kind of my 2 rules with my clothes. And I think that clothes is a big one, but maybe if that's not the space that bothers you, you can think of a space like say your kitchen. Like, are you constantly stressed about how many freaking coffee mugs you have or something like that?
Get rid of them.
Yeah, get rid of them. But maybe you can either go off vibe and be like, you know what, black mugs don't make me happy. Why do I have 3 of them?
Yeah, and or like I haven't grabbed this mug in the last year since I've drank coffee.
Yeah, exactly. That could be a little rule that you have for yourself. I have the 1-year rule with anything in my house. So I mean, some things I have longer than a year, but if I have not used it in a year, like I think I just got rid of a fondue machine that we got for a white elephant. And I was like, we thought that this would be so fun. Yeah. And we've used it 1 time in the last 3 years. And so it does not follow the rule. Like,
get it out of there.
Yeah, we are done. And of course, we're not just like tossing things in the trash. We always take stuff to Goodwill or
donate it to a friend.
Yeah. And obviously, we have 4 sisters, so we pass around clothes like nobody's business.
Even items, though, too. Like, I feel like I just
that's true.
Yeah, I had a Julia come over. it's probably like this time last year, and I had a bunch of decor that I was getting rid of. And she came over and I was like, hey, do you want to come shop in my guest room and just look at all this decor? And she was like, yeah. She went home with bags of stuff. And I was like, yeah, girl. I was like, I don't want it. Yeah. You take it.
Yeah. And if they don't want it, then you take it to Goodwill or Plato's Closet or whatever makes the most sense. Plato's Closet doesn't hardly take anything, but
that's true. But yeah, you give it to somebody else. I think another huge one for me is bathroom sinks can get so crazy. And I have
just cleaned ours out like a couple months ago.
Good. Did it feel amazing?
Yes. This is the thing about this episode. All of these things feel so good.
Yes, every time. It feels so good. Yeah, no, those bathroom sinks, though, they get so cluttered with, like, expired makeup or hair ties that have broke or brushes that you're not ever using and you've got 4 of for who knows why. Like
half-used cleansers, half-used
body lotions. Yeah. Like, it just gets so overwhelming. And then you have the things you need, like your toothbrush and your toothpaste, your flossers, like your face wash you do use on a regular basis. So there's so much on those counters that can get so insane. So strongly recommend getting some organizers. Like if you like to keep your half-used body lotions, that's okay. You can still keep those, but let's put them in a nice space. Where it makes sense. So if you have a drawer, let's get some of those little like $5 drawer organizers from Target, or like get a makeup organizer. I have a makeup organizer. Changed my life. Like I took everything out of a makeup bag where I had it all, put it in my little organizer, and I was like, I love this thing. Like,
and you can get that stuff at like Dollar General.
Yeah.
Or the Target. I was just in the 1 through 5 aisle of Target, and they had a bunch of little organizer things. Little clear drawers and stuff.
I love them. I love those things. Yeah, so I think that's a huge one. Yeah. And can help. Because you go to your bathroom a lot. And also, like, that's probably where you get ready in the morning. That's probably where you get ready to go to bed. Like, you're in there so often. So, like, let's clear up that space.
I would still also apply the rule. I did it when I cleaned it out. The rule of, like, the 1 year thing. If there were body lotions or perfumes or things that, just quite honestly, I am not in the habit of using, then I was like, yeah, I'm getting rid of this.
That's a great idea.
One other tip I do have for cleaning physical space is to put it on your calendar. I just recently it really feels like just in the last couple of weeks. So I really think it might be the season change.
I'm telling you.
But with cleaning and chores and things like that, it always feels like you're going to do them, at the end of the workday, but then I'm tired. Or it feels like you're going to do them on the weekend, but then, you make plans last minute or whatever. I highly recommend putting it on your calendar as though it's a dentist appointment or plans with your friends or a vacation. Just put it on your calendar and schedule time for it, even if it's like a month out.
Yeah.
Being like, this is the day that I'm going to clean out my fridge, or this is the day that I'm going to go through this cabinet or this closet. Like, you don't have to do it all in one day. And I think that's what gets people, it's that analysis paralysis. I don't know where to start, so I never start anything.
Yeah.
That's what gets people down, I think, when they want to start doing this. If I have a free day, I'm like, oh, I want to do these 27 things, but then that's not realistic and I don't know where to start, and so then I don't do anything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I really like that idea. Yeah. It's like making a plan with yourself.
Yeah.
Instead of with someone else.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like I recently started putting things on our calendar, like I pulled some weeds, and I had been saying I was going to do that for so many weeks, but then I was like, I'm literally just putting this on my calendar, and if anybody asks if I can do anything at 11 o'clock on Saturday, I'm going to say no, because I already have plans.
Yeah.
My plans are to pull my freaking weeds.
I love that.
So,
you're like, if you want to hang out, you can come pull weeds. I've done that before.
Or we just hang out in the evening and I don't have plans.
Yeah, very true.
But yeah, so that was just another tip I have for the physical declutter.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I think the only other tip I would have for physical decluttering, besides like just doing it and getting rid of things that you don't need anymore, is I am personally a renter. So we don't own our house, we rent. So we know that we will eventually have to move out. So I think about what I'm going to have to move with. And I think that helps me so much not bring home big items or just items in general. Like if I know,
mental reframe,
right? I'm like, I don't want to have to move this freaking 100-pound shelf. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I know it's easy to get in my house the one time, but I have to take it out, and then I have to rent a truck for it, and then I have to figure out where the heck I'm going to put it in my new house. Like,
or something that is like small when you order it, but then you have to build it, and then obviously you're not going to pull it back.
Yeah.
Pull it apart whenever you leave. So, yeah, that's a really good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think about that. And then I also like to think about kitchen things. There's already so much that we have. And I'm like, there's no way we can get another kitchen appliance because I don't want to have to move in. I don't want to have to find another cabinet for it in our next house. So I actually really think about that. And I don't know if that would apply to homeowners unless you're thinking you'll move in the next couple of years kind of thing. But super applicable to renters, I would think.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I love that.
Mm-hmm. I do it a lot.
So moving from the physical to more of the calendar declutter. So I don't know about you, but I felt after this July specifically, the summer was crazy all in all. But after July, Jared and I were on a walk on like August 1st or 2nd or something. And I was like, dude, I cannot plan that much in the future on months like on the July month. I just can't do that. Yeah. And it made me realize that sometimes we have the best intentions with making plans with everybody. I'm so bad at this because I just love hanging out with everybody in my life all the time. Yeah. And so I put something on the calendar almost every day. It was so funny. You weren't at book club this week, but at book club, someone said, yeah, book club is like the only plans I'll allow on a weeknight. And I was like, same. And then I was like, actually, that's such a lie.
Actually, I'm doing something tomorrow.
Yeah, like, actually, no, that's not true at all.
Oh, my God.
And, like, every week we have volleyball on Tuesday, so I'm like, I don't even know why I said that, but it seemed good.
It felt relatable. Yeah. It wasn't, but it felt relatable.
Yes. But something that I want to get back into that I was really good about for about a year and a half and got out of the habit last fall was using it. You could do it with any journal, but I used to listen to this podcast regularly on Tuesdays that was called The Next Right Thing. Do you remember me talking about this?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's literally over there. How did I not see that? Okay, I used to, this is a sign. I used to regularly use The Next Right Thing journal. Emily P. Freeman's the podcaster, and she came out with this a couple years ago, and it's like a companion. She calls it a companion to helping you do your next right thing or something like that. Mm-hmm. But the whole point is that journaling and evaluation and reflection are really, really, really helpful to make sure that you continue moving forward in the right direction. Oh. So not like dwelling on the past, but looking at July and being like, what things really, really gave me a lot of life this month and what things really drained me. And just in general, if something that really drained me was having something like every day of the week, then maybe I don't do that again in the future. Wow, and just taking that moment to think of that. She breaks her journal into months, which I love, but also seasons. So you can like, you fill it in yourself, but I could look at this fall, and I probably will do this, and I'll write in this season is fall, and then she does like an at a glance, like what big things do I have, what like calendar events like birthdays and holidays are there, that sort of thing. And then you can do month by month and you can put like things that you read, things that you watched, things that you places
like pretty
that you
specific with it.
Yeah, okay. and you can kind of divide into the things that were really draining and like really life-giving and really life-draining. Yeah. And so I want to get more into the habit of this because obviously this year I kind of felt like summer rolled me over like a truck. Oh, my God, yes. And it was a really great summer, but it was just so busy. Yeah. And I feel like sometimes that clutter of my calendar is taking like life away from me instead of giving me life, which is what, you know,
which is what you want.
Making plans should be doing.
Yeah. So I really like that one. Mason and I just started, so like on a similar path to what you're saying of there's just so much all the time and it feels so cluttered. So Mason and I just started on our weekly resets that we do. We just started adding in kind of like what we have going on for that week. So we used to go and we used to do that. Like we would do that. I guess instead of saying we added it in, we just perfected it or like modified it a bit. Yeah, tweaked it. Because we used to do that and we'd be like, okay, we know on Saturday we have this party or like we know on Tuesday we have volleyball, whatever. But we started getting into the nitty gritty of it because I just started feeling so overwhelmed and so like you and I aren't getting any time together because we have 100 things to do and blah, blah, blah. So we started during our weekly reset being like, okay, Monday, here's what we have. I work from this time to this time. After that, we have this. After that, we have this. After that, we have this. Okay. So that way, like, we literally had our days for him planned out because we knew
like your time blocking that you shared.
Yeah, like with our time blocking. Yes, it really was like that. And we would both go back and forth of whatever we had. Because I think that can happen too, where sometimes I'll make a plan with someone and then I forget to tell him. So then he makes a plan for us and I'm like, shit, I'm double booked and I didn't even mean to.
Yeah.
And it would just slip my mind because there was 100 things going on and I'm not good at remembering things like that. So this was something that he and I had to start doing to be on the same page with our schedules. Because schedules are so crazy.
They are.
So,
and we don't even have kids.
I think about that all the time.
Imagine when you guys have a kid that has like soccer practice and like school.
Oh my gosh. It's going to be insane. But also I think that our social lives will slow down.
Yeah.
So I think it'll trade out a bit. But I do think about that.
Yeah. I still think though that it's really awesome that you're getting to that habit now. Yeah. Because if and when you guys do have kids, you will already be in that habit. And so it'll make it easier for you to do the rundown and be like, okay,
we have this, and it won't feel as overwhelming because it's like vice versa. It's like the opposite for us.
Yeah.
We feel more overwhelmed when we don't know what's going on.
Right.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Because we're like,
Makes total sense
to me.
Oh my
gosh. Well, yeah, it's been a super helpful thing for us.
I like that a lot. I think evaluation, reflection of what is good is really great. And then also just, kind of doing a rundown and getting on track with whoever. I mean, we even kind of have to do that with the podcast. I feel like sometimes with each other. Just get on the same page with what we're doing, when we're doing it.
When an episode is coming out. And who's posting what.
Exactly.
Yeah, you do. You have to make it full. It really is. Like, because you have to do that with work. Mm-hmm. So it really, like, life is work.
Oh, yeah.
You got to stay up to date with it.
Oh, yeah.
I used to always say that I was just really chaotic in my outside life, but really organized at work. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure I said that probably 7 episodes ago. Mm-hmm. And it's been 7 long weeks, guys. Yeah. And I now need to organize my personal life, too.
Yeah.
And that's where this reset part of this came in.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I hadn't thought about till just now, but with the calendar decluttering and whatnot, is maybe just like with what we said about organization and decluttering your physical space, maybe it's something that you put on your calendar. Like, you guys have your weekly resets, and so that's a great time for you to kind of streamline your schedule. But maybe, if you're noticing that you are not having enough free time or you're feeling stressed or whatever, can you put in your calendar an hour of time for just you, just to sit down? And maybe it doesn't even have to be with your schedule, but it could be with your schedule. But just sit down and just focus on you for a minute. Mm-hmm. I heard Marie Forleo said this. Have you heard of Everything is Figureoutable? Did I talk about this on a podcast episode?
I don't think so. 'Cause that doesn't sound familiar to me.
Okay.
But it sounds like something I want to listen to or read.
Yeah. It's a really cute book. It's really...
Oh, it's a book.
Yeah. It's a self-development thing. But she also has a podcast. It's just the Marie Forleo podcast. Okay. And she said something about create before you consume. And so... I think that this would be a great thing that could help you with your calendar is, if you feel constantly like cluttered mentally and that sort of thing because you're so busy, can you create some space in your calendar before you're immediately going into consuming whatever it is your friend is talking about or whatever you can do it at work, creating some space in your mind, like giving yourself 15 minutes with your coffee before you go into a meeting. I feel like we're so bad about that these days with virtual meetings especially.
Oh, absolutely.
But just creating in the morning, creating a better body, let's say, or, giving yourself, making progress on whatever goal it is that you have.
Yeah.
Before you go into social media and consuming other people's bodies and, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I love that idea. I have recently fallen back into getting on my phone like right in the mornings. And I'm like, no, because I really can tell that it does. It makes my mornings go by slower somewhat and somehow. I think because I used to have a time limit for myself of when I would get on my phone. Yeah. And now I'm just like, am right on it. So by the time it's like, 9, whenever I used to get on my phone for the first time, I'm like, oh my God. I don't know. That's not even important, but just a side thought.
No, I actually think that's a great segue. We should do digital next.
Oh,
yeah.
That's funny. That's a good segue.
Because I was going to say, so you used to have app limits on your phone, you don't now?
Yeah.
Because that was one of my tips. Some people still don't know this. If you go to your settings in your phone, you can go down to screen time, and then you can first of all, you can evaluate what apps you're spending way too much time on. And like for me, Instagram is always the highest. But and then you can set a limit. So I have a 30-minute Instagram limit. Every once in a while, especially on the weekends, I'll like do the ignore thing. But if you have the block to begin with, it still is a good reminder. I think Jared has like a Reddit limit and an X Twitter limit.
Yeah.
But so you can set limits on your screen time. So that is one of the first things I would have to declutter. Because I know you were going to talk a little bit about how you adjust or how you deciding what notifications you get, right?
Yes. Yeah. So notifications for me, if you haven't picked up on this already, I'm very easily overwhelmed. And I recently went through all my notifications and changed them so that way I could decide what I was getting notifications for. Because I was like, I don't need notifications every time a friend of mine posts on Snapchat kind of thing. Because I was getting like 20 a day and I was getting overwhelmed. And then I wasn't checking any of my notifications on Snapchat.
Analysis process.
Yeah. Yes. I have that bad. Like bad. I just shut down. I'll just throw my whole phone away instead of looking at the notification for some reason. So, I went through all of my notifications, turned off a ton of notifications, and I was like, I still want these apps, but I don't want their notifications constantly. And then I would even go into the apps themselves. So, like Instagram, I want some notifications from there. I want to know when I get a message. I want to know when someone likes my picture, but I don't want to know when here's someone I might know. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I turned those off and things like that. And it really helped me a lot of just easily getting rid of a lot of the clutter on my phone.
Clearing some of the stressful space in your mind that is related to notifications.
Yes. Yep. So I went through and did that, and I freaking love it. I even changed up where I get the notifications sometimes. So on some of them, I won't get the push notification where it alerts you right away, but it'll be in my notification center. So that's like whenever you scroll down and you see it. So I'll see it there, but I won't get the alert when it happens, kind of. And I've done those with a couple, and I thought it was really helpful.
I've done that for a while. So whenever I started beach body coaching, I was messaging people a lot on Instagram and Facebook. I still message people a lot on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
But I pretty quickly into that felt the same way. I would be stressed, and if I wasn't in a moment that it was dedicated to coaching, then I would feel like, oh, I don't even want to open that.
Yeah.
And so I just turned off the bubble notifications because those do stress me out.
Yeah.
And any notifications really. And so now when I click into an app, do I see any of the notifications of it?
I like that.
Yeah. So I don't ever, besides the only one I let is text messages. And even those, because it drove you nuts for a while, that I am often on personal mode, which keeps any notifications from coming to me. So again, I don't know that anybody has texted me unless I have opened the app and am ready to look at messages. It happened today. I opened the app and it was 17 unread messages, and I was like, wow. I was like, hot damn, I looked at this an hour ago.
Oh my God.
But those group texts especially rack up. But so Facebook Messenger, anything where people can be messaging me, I do not see the message until I'm ready to open it.
Yeah.
And except for when I'm on the personal mode, I do have you now and Jared cleared to come through. So I do get the buzz and the notification and the Apple Watch notification. Yeah. That's another thing I didn't think about with this, but with notifications, if you have an Apple Watch and it's I noticed it especially when I got that, because I got it around the same time that I was doing Beachbody coaching. And I noticed that I was constantly being buzzed, and I was oh my gosh, I can't deal with this vibration every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And so that was when I was like, I need to just shut it all down.
Yeah.
And I know that for some people it can be cumbersome or annoying for them to not have the recipient immediately see the message, but look, I don't care. We weren't built to constantly be in communication with everybody in our lives.
For real, I wish I didn't have a phone. I really do. I'm like, I want a landline. I don't want people to have to call my house if they need me.
Well, and that's the thing. In do not disturb or personal mode or whatever, you can get a hold of me if you call me 2 times.
Oh.
When you call,
or if you click notify anyway, which I do.
That's true. You do that?
Sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
If I'm like, wait, no, I need her now. Notify now.
That is so funny. Well, with me, you're cleared.
Yeah.
So, but on Do Not Disturb, if you call somebody and and it goes straight to voicemail. If you call them a second time, they get the notification because that's, I don't know why, that's just how Do Not Disturb is set up. Yeah. So I'm just saying you could get a hold of me even if you've texted like 5 times.
Yeah.
If you really want to get a hold of someone, just call them.
It's like it teaches us patience.
Yeah.
That you don't have to have a response right away. It might be nice in some instances, and that's whenever you click notify now. But patience is good. Yeah. Now, for people like me who never respond to things, this is actually a goal of mine that I'm going to be setting, and I only decided it today while going over our outline for the digital, was that it's really hard for me for some reason to respond to messages because I just get overwhelmed, or it's always about making some type of plan, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. But it's like I saw a quote today that said, I can't cry over what's on my plate when I ask to eat. And I was oh my God. So maybe I saw that at the same time as this because I was like, that's so true. Because I'm always over here saying, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
But all that to be said, that I'm going to start setting a goal for myself for one time a day to go through and look at all my messages that I need to respond to, or at least just like acknowledge. So even if it, like today in our book club group chat, I see all the messages come through and I love them. And but since I didn't go to the last book club, I just hadn't responded to any of them. Yeah. But I was like, I want to go through and at least acknowledge them. So I went through and I loved a couple of them. Yeah. And so I went through and did that with some of my friends too that I had missed text messages from, just like went through, because a lot of times if it doesn't require a response, I will just never open it kind of thing. Yeah. But I want to at least acknowledge them, but I know I can't set that as a goal to do all day long because that for me is like too much. Yeah. So if I can just do it one time a day for 10 to 15 minutes, I'm golden. And then I know I used to do this and then be like, but then they're going to respond right away and then I have to do it again. And I'm like, well, then you respond the next day. Yeah. Like, you do what works for you, Bailey, and that's okay.
Definitely. Yeah. I really like that. Another thing that I have been doing for maybe a year or two for decluttering digitally is I do Time Hop. I don't know if you do Time Hop still, but I love Time Hop. I look at it every day. It's part of my morning routine. Although I didn't mention it on my morning routine, I do it around the same time I do my games, my New York Times games. But I do look at it every single day. I probably have like a 2,000 streak or something like that. Oh my God. Yeah, crazy. Seriously, for years I have been. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's awesome. You're just like seeing the same thing and after a while.
Yes, but it's so I love it. Like every year I'm like, oh, that was a good day. But anyway, so what I do, and it's interesting you point that out, because what I do is every morning when I look through my Time Hop, if I have a photo that I like, for instance, sometimes you screenshot a recipe or you screenshot a message in a group so that you can remember something for next week. Yeah. Or you take a picture
of this book you wanted to read.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Things like that. They come up in your Time Hop because it's attached to your photos. So at that moment, I will be like, oh, this thing from 3 years ago, I don't need that in my phone. And I go back. So like eventually you would think that after a year you would have erased everything that you wouldn't have wanted. Now obviously you continue adding to it, to your photos. But it's been really good because things like videos from concerts or something like that, I'm like, I really don't need like 4 videos.
I've never watched this.
Yeah, so I can go back and I can just like delete and just declutter a little bit. It always feels really good. It gives me probably a little boost of serotonin.
Ooh, I love that. I love that you've added it into your morning routine. How fun. I'm horrible at deleting pictures. Horrible at it. Like I'll do it in one giant bunch after like 3 years kind of thing. It's like an every 3-year kind of thing for me. But I also I just went through and deleted all my emails. It was crazy. I had like 30,000 emails and stop
in your inbox.
Yes.
Unread or read?
Unread. Girl, you think if I'm not reading my 15 text messages, I'm reading my 30,000 spam emails? Absolutely not. Because I'm a victim of
personal email?
Yes, it was in my personal email.
Okay. I thought you were saying work email. Good lordy.
Oh my God, no. I have 0 in my work email. Personal email, I have like 30. Oh my God, can you imagine 30,000 work emails? That's insane. I should have gotten fired 7 years ago if that was the case. No. 30,000 in my personal email. And I was just realizing that I stopped looking in my email like I always do. Yeah. And I was missing important emails. So like I would miss like insurance quotes and things like that. And I'd be like, oh crap. And now Mason's over here like, do I insurance renew? And I'm like, Yeah, she sent me an email 2 weeks ago. I just didn't look at it. I'm sorry. And so I went through and I deleted all of them and unsubscribed from like everything. Now, this was like a 2-day process. I was at work doing this for like 2 days of unsubscribing to my emails because I was like, this is so bad. But it's cleared.
Have you ever heard of Unroll Me?
No.
Get it?
Are you serious? Is this an app that could have done this for me and I spent 2 days?
It couldn't have deleted your emails for you, but it can unsubscribe super easily. I'll show it to you after this episode. But yeah, you literally just like click it pulls any subscription that's associated with your email right there, and it'll say like abc.com, and you can just click unsubscribe. And then it'll say baby.com unsubscribe. And it'll say thriftworld.com unsubscribe.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The hours I would have saved. I considered hiring Chloe to do it for me. I literally texted her and I said, "Hey, can I pay you like $20 to do this?" By the time that she had responded, I was already done. But I really did.
Yeah, the unsubscribing, I use Unroll Me because even when you click the little blue unsubscribe in the email, sometimes I feel like it doesn't always unsubscribe.
No, it doesn't.
Or it like subscribes you to like 4 other things. And I'm like, well, how did this happen?
These systems. We are linking this in our Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
We are linking it.
I'm happy to share.
Unrollme.com.
Yeah, I want to say that another like body coach shared it with me.
That's
Ellie,
genius.
maybe.
That's such a good one. Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I did that and
I love
loved
that.
it.
Good for you. And did you feel so good?
I felt so good.
I'm a new woman.
No, I felt so good. And the next day I woke up and I still had like 3 emails and I was like, what the heck? And I clicked into them and they're like important. And I was like, oh,
Great.
well, now I can respond to that. I can click yes to this reservation and things like that. It was really fun.
I love that. Well, kind of the final category we had was emotionally or really relationally, that sort of declutter. Because the reason I thought of this category is just because I feel like sometimes in our heads, relationships can really just take up a lot of space.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it can really clutter your brain and take up a lot of your day if something is feeling weird or off or whatever. So, and emotionally, obviously, it affects you a lot. I feel like it's just this extra weight.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, well, not obviously, but I don't think that either of us are necessarily experts at this quite yet. We're working on it. But something that came immediately to mind for me was forgiveness.
Aww.
Because I think forgiveness is so hard to actually do. And I think it looms, like unforgiveness, looms a lot heavier than you think because it just sits there in your head. Whatever you're upset about, it just sits
whatever
there in
you're
your
holding
head.
on to.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that just being able to like let go and just offer forgiveness, even if someone did not say sorry, is a really good place to start with this emotional or relational decluttering. So I think that one big thing that another podcaster that I listen to says a lot is your ego more important than this relationship?
Aww.
Because if your ego is more important, then you will not forgive them or you'll continue stonewalling them or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You will hold on to this thing forever, this grudge or whatever it is. But if the relationship is more important, then maybe you just got to let it go.
Maybe you do.
You know, maybe you just need to be like, you know, that sucked. That was the worst, and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another thing that is related to that, and while you were talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, another thing you have to do sometimes is sometimes you have to talk about it or get it off your chest.
Yeah.
Like especially relationship-wise, or else it will, without you really knowing it, it'll sit on you and it'll just stay on your conscience and the whole time. Now, there's not going to be... You can't do that with everything. Sometimes you do just have to like forgive and let live, or sometimes you just have to say like, okay, not worth my time or whatever. But like in a relationship, like let's say it's your husband, talking about things are important. Otherwise, like it just grows and festers or whatever. So I think that talking about whatever is on the back of your head sometimes is good. And I don't know, just getting it out there, getting it in the open.
I really like that you brought that up because someone who knew someone else who was like getting a divorce was saying, I was like, well, what happened? You know? And because I'm not very close to this couple, but I thought they were happy, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And she said something, and I just thought it was so simple but insightful. But she said, you know, they just let little things become big things.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, good. Because, you know, if you let things build up, like not cleaning out the garage, decluttering, or just like, not putting things away, or not
like, just it's annoying whenever my husband doesn't scrape the food off his plate and just puts it in the dishwasher, but you have to get over it. But then after 5 years, you feel like you're raising a kid, and that's annoying. And
little by little, a little becomes a lot.
So it's even though it started as so small, and you're like, I can get over it.
So it's just this build up that you don't really think of, but every single little thing can build up.
Yes.
And I feel like, I don't know, it can become really heavy and really cluttered.
Yes.
And so maybe talking with them about it, letting some stuff go, small things that you can let go. I just really feel like you just got to work on that. You know, I'm talking to myself, really.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking to myself, really, because I'm like, I got to let small things go.
I also think the relationship that you're looking at is important. If it's a coworker, you can let the small
exactly.
Let this go. If it's a parent that you're thinking of, and it's better to just forgive and move on, like that's okay too. But if it's a partner, or like if something with you happened, I would be like, this is a very important relationship, like we need to talk about it, kind of thing. So I don't know.
For sure.
Something I think about.
And I think also with relationships, sometimes you do have to, you know, if this is a repeated occurrence and it is someone like a coworker or even a friend or whatever, and you do, or even in some cases family members, and you do find that, you know, we're doing that life-giving, life-draining list, that person is constantly a drain on you, I think it is okay to distance yourself from them. I think it is really okay to, you know, forgive them for whatever things that they are, you know, draining you with. But then you don't have to put yourself in that situation to be drained and to be upset all over again super regularly. Like, I'm not saying cut them out of your lives, but I'm just saying that maybe as I become more of a value, I talk about this all the time, evaluating how I feel when I leave someone and evaluating how I feel not only about them, but about myself and that sort of thing. It can really help you determine, you know, where you should be putting your time.
Yeah. I feel like whenever you say that, the immediate thought that comes to my head is like you are determining how you feel instead of letting them determine how you feel.
Yeah.
And so if there are people like setting up the boundaries of not giving them all your time, or not giving them all the insight to your life, or not giving them, you know, every day, like kind of thing. Like, it's really you deciding how you're going to be okay with it instead of them deciding how they're going to make you feel.
Yeah, it's like taking agency, taking ownership of your time and your life, and
taking control back.
And and that's really what decluttering is all about, I feel like.
No, I completely agree. The last one I had on relationships was with more of like your work relationship. I do not have this because I do not have a job that relies on me a lot outside of work, but I know that like you do or have in the past, and a lot of people do. So I wonder if this can be a season, and you could just try it out for a couple months. But if you are noticing that your job is taking over and it is cluttering up your brain when you are home, and it is cluttering up your brain whenever you're trying to have dinner with your spouse or whatever, like, can we maybe put those notifications on silence? Can we maybe delete the email app from our phone? Like, I know that work is so important for so many people, but, or like, if you can't fully delete it, can you set up a time block kind of thing for it? Or like one of the app, what were you talking about earlier? The limiters. Like a time limit.
Oh, yeah.
So like you get an email and you try to click into it and it says, I'm sorry, you've spent over your amount of time on this. You can be like, wow, I've really worked 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
Instead of my regular 8. Yeah. I don't know. Just a thought that I wonder if that's a relationship that we can start fine tuning and start giving back our own time a little bit.
Definitely. I love that one.
Thank you.
Yes, you did. Well, I think that kind of wraps us up. Yeah. I really hope that this is helpful to you all. Obviously, Bailey and I are still working through all of these spaces, and honestly just wanting to put more mental attention toward it. I feel like a lot of our episodes have become like, well, what do we need to get better about? Yeah. Let's talk about it, you know, because probably other people want to talk about that too. So
I mean, this digital one, like everyone's heard me say this whole time, like, I'm so bad at responding and I'm so bad at looking at my phone. So like, digitally, like clearing up my space and clearing up my mind, like it's gonna help so much.
Yeah. And did just curious, you don't have to say yes if it's not true, but did the declutter idea episode, did that spur you to do that, or what made you? Okay,
yes.
Cool. So hopefully this spurs you to take some action as well. Let us know if you've been decluttering. And we have been having some fun little stories on our Instagram that we've been sharing when we put up like the what's filling our cups thing, sharing what's filling people's cups. So make sure that
that made me so happy.
Yeah, make sure that you are following us at Fill Your Cups Podcast on Instagram and tuning in on our stories to see what's filling your cups. And we might ask you how you're decluttering as well.
Yes. And I want to know what people's favorite category is. Or what their biggest category that they're going to have to look into is. So mine's going to be digital.
Oh, I feel that for sure. Yeah, I feel like mine is going to have to be, right now it feels physical, to be honest. But
yeah, there you go. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And cheers.